Erica Lorraine Spencer here. This is the P.O.C. This is documentation of the state's pattern of conduct as it exists, the methods employed inside of what is a private space, and the type of private space that where I am documenting the state's pattern of conduct is in a room provided by a third-party innkeeper, and that is Economy Inn. And inside of the room, I'm documenting what is the state's maintenance of audible activity. And this method is engaged in by the creation of literal noise, which is audible activity. That's the term of art for it, while I am subject to systematic monitoring while inside of this private space against, again, ceilings, floors, doors, walls, are no obstruction whatsoever to how the public entity is monitoring with communication devices. And this is speaking to the reason why you are using inanimate objects, you are amplifying audible activity, you are aiming directed light, you are placing a light source above the venue because of the monitoring, which is based on occurring via communication devices. And that is a public entity relying on the cooperative criminal presence and activity creation, while the state is, as I'm documenting it, creating audible activity inside of the room. That audible activity concentrated on the location, my location inside of the room. And all I am doing is I am documenting what is criminal monitoring inside of a private space, which is inherent to the state's pattern of conduct of monitoring American citizens in concert with the people of that state by communication devices. And this is a part of what is the sexually violent conduct, and it is also that which is inherent to what is the corporate invasion of privacy by entity. The state that is monitoring you and doing so in concert with the people, this entity directly and vicariously engaged in ongoing ceaseless corporate invasion of privacy, which is how you monitor. You are necessarily engaged in surveillance, audible and visual or otherwise, in order to monitor. And this is also how they are engaging in the behavioral pattern that I have already outlined, which is stalking with activity. You are able and capable of literally stalking, that is following with the creation of some method of activity, whether it is light activity, whether it is audible activity, sensational activity, or literal, well, it's not or relevant positioning, meaning literally coming out of nowhere. And this is visually. They maintain presence whether you see them or not. I am documenting as a human being that which I am aware of, that which I see, that which I am witnessing. And so this is the behavioral pattern. You are necessarily engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, which is that which follows from what I'm documenting as the state is engaging in the criminal elements. And so this is documentation speaking to that. I am at what is the third-party facilitating venue, which is Economy Inn, engaging in monitoring in concert with the entity that is present. Everything about the environment is demonstrating what is state action and what is criminal facilitation of its operating a targeting system, which is federal group stalking and monitoring in violation of existing federal law, which is 18 U.S.C. section 2261A, subsections 1 and subsections 2. And this is significant with regard to what is monitoring in a private space, what is corporate invasion of privacy by entity, and what is that inherently sexually violent conduct. Again, while you are listening to what is nothing more than audible activity, and the method is literally making noise through the wall and the ceiling. And this is what I'm capturing at 7:20 p.m. on March 9th, 2021, as I am standing at the vanity, which is in front of the sink, the mirror, and I go and get my phone in order to capture for purposes of this is serving for prosecution, this is serving for documentation, which goes for prosecution, yes, but this is also showing how. This is also informative. It is instructive with regard to the creation of policy, with regard to understanding and the greater public learning how a public entity is monitoring you. And where that entity is monitoring you, there is no existence of any noise that is occurring, which first of all is accidental or coincidental or just serving no purpose. It is all going toward what is ceaseless monitoring, first of all. And second of all, there is no claim under federal law where there's going to be any excuse of you and understand the entire environment around the target individual is deliberately maintained. That is also speaking to what is the absence of any coincidence or accident whatsoever, in addition to the fact that stalking with activity and this method of the maintenance of noise, which is audible activity, is a part of the pattern of conduct. This is documented at every single type of venue where I have documented the state's monitoring, literally inside of the car, the state engaging in the same behavior of creating noise while I'm sleeping in a car, creating noise while I am sleeping outside the Museum of History and Arts, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The state literally making noise outside on the building, tapping, cracking, any just random noise, maintaining that noise. That's audible activity. That is monitoring conduct. All right. This is the behavioral pattern as I'm documenting it inside of the room at Economy Inn. And this is merely a method. The people of the state of California, the psychopath, sex offending stalkers that are acting vicariously on behalf of the entity, engage in concerted conduct as well as they create noise with simultaneity to what they are listening to me do as I do it. And the state amplifies it. That's another method of the same exact pattern of conduct, the creation of audible activity. They are stalking with audible activity while they are stalking by maintaining perpetual presence in the path while the state is maintaining light at all times. Those are the three elements of monitoring with communication devices. That is federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, with communication devices, both in violation of existing federal law and that which shall be enforced against a public entity to comprehensively prosecute every criminal tactic employed by a public entity that is necessarily acting via the constituents of that state, the people of the state who are fully engaged in the criminal elements, and the elements are corporately engaged in, and it is the absence of coincidence. You are looking at what is that of a psychopath, and it is shared amongst the group. These are psychopaths that surround, engaging in malicious conduct, and their act of as though it is normal conduct. They just happen to be walking by, or happen to be on the job, or happen to be next door to you, whether you're at home or in a hotel room or on the street and they're driving. It is the absence of that. They are not merely present. There is nothing normal about those circumstances. It is serving the state's pattern of conduct, and it is that of a psychopath who knows full well that they are being documented, who is engaging in that conduct, irrespective of the fact that their criminal conduct is being documented, but also with real-time knowledge of what you're documenting about their conduct, that is very disturbing, okay? And this is that which the group engages in together. Okay, stalking in a helicopter, that is very disturbing conduct. Stalking while you're next door to someone, listening to them all day and all night, and then banging on walls or slamming a door, which you know the state is turning up the volume of that noise while you're literally just sitting around maintaining presence, making sure that everything about that behavioral pattern, in other words, is demented, okay? This is demonic activity, and it is made manifest, and you're understanding what demonic activity is. It is not what you see on cable television, flying around on brooms and all sort of ridiculous, fairy dust. That is not it. Okay, that is a very a deliberate false personification of what is demonic activity. Demonic activity is very demented, and it takes every effort to maintain what is normal on the surface. Okay, it is entirely demented. All right, it is twisted in every way, and the behavioral pattern is showing what is entirely twisted conduct. And so, as I'm showing in videos where you are looking at and analyzing and understanding the significance of the environment that surrounds while they maintain presence, all right, which is entirely intentional presence, which is also vicarious presence on behalf of that entity that is also established as stalking, all right, which is stalking not only physically, that's the group stalking, but stalking with light, all right, that is twisted, that's demonic, and it is also monitoring conduct, all right. So this is the environment where this noise is occurring, and it is serving the state's criminal system of monitoring in a private space, and doing so that the people of the state who surround in relevant position, both on the property and around the property, while the state is stalking by plane and helicopter, remaining around in police vehicles, fire and ambulance, stalking, all of them corporately listening at the same time. And this is the literal recitation of what they are engaged in, not only now, but on a ceaseless basis, okay? There is no exaggeration of my documentation has already established this. They are literally engaged in this conduct while this noise is ongoing inside of the space. It's serving P.O.C., and it is nothing less than P.O.C., and there is no claim, there is no establishing any excuse whatsoever where the public entity is monitoring you, and anything serving or facilitating that in any way is subjecting is to go toward what is the federal prosecution of the people of the state that are vicariously acting, and where you are specifically documenting, that is to identify a specific actor in that same group, which are third parties, the people of the state who are monitoring you. And this just happens to be at Economy N, very heavily documented already. The state's system remains in operation. The state's fake sun remains over this venue. This is at 7:20 p.m., so the state is engaging in directed light 24 hours a day and night, keeping light in the same exact locations where I'm documenting it, merely changing the color, and it remains present. And the people of the state engaged in 24-hour surveillance, that is corporate invasion of privacy, listening in real time while they are stalking with noises. That's demonic activity. They're engaged in group demonic conduct. And it is group monitoring, which is criminal. It is public corruption. It is demonic activity. And this is the state creating such audible activity through the walls and the ceiling where I stood at the vanity. And in my second episode, which you'll also listen to, this is speaking to what is the creation of audible activity inside of another private space. Okay, so the hotel room is a private space. Being in the bathroom itself is a private space as well, and the creation of audible activity in that space. None of which is idle, coincidental. It is serving P.O.C. And in addition to that, the state goes the extra length while the psychopath listens to me document, engages in the behavioral pattern of stalking with activity. So with simultaneity to my walking back into the shower room after being in the main area of the hotel room, after it stopped this sound of what is a squeaking, it's supposed to be a squeaking shower. It is not, understand. The state is literally playing noise, creating noise inside of the shower in the same way that it is creating noise through the ceiling and the walls, in the same way that is amplifying noise as helicopters are flying at exceedingly high elevation over the building, and planes, etc., making noise while third-party group stalkers drive in and out, drive on the street, drive around, and the state is providing a microphone into the targeting, in other words, audible activity. And doing so with simultaneity as I make any sudden moves or as I'm engaged in activity on a communication device. That's a behavioral pattern. That's what stalking with activity is, literally following, mirroring, all right, audible activity as I make any move or engage in activity or any change thereof. That's the behavioral pattern, okay? The state engages in creating this noise with simultaneity of my entry into the shower. That's the behavioral pattern while they are engaging in the criminal element of activity creation inside of a private space, which is both the hotel room and the bathroom. And so that is also the absence of coincidence. And let me be clear, under no circumstances whatsoever is the creation of any method of audible activity where the public entity is monitoring you. There is no excuse whatsoever. It is the state system, which is in ceaseless operation. And let's be clear, the state is maintaining a deliberately designed environment, including any venue where you are. Understand, you are not at any venue outside of the knowledge of that public entity that is monitoring you, and the people of that state are acting in concert with that public entity that's monitoring. All right. They are one and the same, acting together directly and vicariously. And in addition to that, I just want to be clear. So I'm speaking to whether or not it is not an actual squeaky shower, but I want to be clear with regard to the state's ongoing documented conduct of literally playing noise in the atmosphere for purposes of monitoring. And this is what they're doing in the shower while they are aware of the fact of my movement in real time, aware of the fact that I am in the shower or out of the shower or entering inside and out of the room. This is ongoing surveillance, okay? Hardcore, very hovering surveillance by the people and by the public entity acting directly, creating that noise. Even if it was a genuinely squeaky shower, my point being, there is no escaping from federal prosecution. The state maintains control of where the target individual is, whether it is financially, whether it is professionally where you work. The state is engaging in the controlling of that atmosphere wherever it is that you remain. All right. And so there is In addition to that, anything in anything where you are documenting what is the engagement in the criminal elements is the monitoring conduct, period. That is federal prosecution, period. The targeted individual is only responsible for documenting it. That is it, okay? And this is the significance of what I've documented inside of the room at third-party facilitating venue Economy Inn. Okay, this is audible activity creation in the shower, okay? This is a means of creating noise, and this is occurring in a private space. This same exact method, because that's what it is a method of stalking with activity, also while I am in a private space, physically indisposed, in the shower, out of the shower, and this is that which is also occurring with simultaneity to what I'm doing in the room. This is a means of monitoring, and this is 227 Economy Inn. This is P.O.C. It's 6:28 p.m. 6:28 a.m. Sorry. On March 13, 2021. All right, this is pursuant to corporate invasion of privacy. This is pursuant to monitoring in a private space. This is also the corporate harassment, the people of the state and the entity itself monitoring in concert with the people of the state, engaging in such conduct while the psychopaths, sex offending group stalkers listen to you document their criminal activity. This is the same identical behavioral pattern as you document it inside of a private space. And this is P.O.C. All right, it's 6:31 a.m. Pay attention to the longevity with which they're engaging in the documented conduct while they're listening to me document them. This is third-party facilitating venue, Economy Inn. Understand the people of the state are listening to me inside of this venue. They're all surrounding in relevant position while this activity is created in the bathroom. They're all monitoring to this. The state is stalking via aircraft, police, fire, and ambulance in relevant position, monitoring to this. And then the behavioral pattern is to engage in that conduct that is documented more so as I documented. They're psychopaths. In no way suggesting or demonstrating whatsoever that it is naturally occurring, just like fake sun, just like amplification of audible activity, just like flickering light, okay, just like disabling channels on the television. It's P.O.C. Now the shower is incessantly squeaking. Okay, 6:32 a.m. Okay, so let me go over what is the significance of audible activity creation, whether it is the state that is amplifying helicopter activity while you're indisposed in the shower, whether it is the state amplifying third-party group stalkers that are creating activity all around you, booming, banging, stomping, hitting, while it is, or an amplification of the state amplifying any manner of noise, by the way. This is the state engaging in this is constructive presence inside of a private space where you are controlling inanimate objects, such as the cooling unit. I've documented this, such as the television. I've documented this. Creating noises in the walls. I've documented this. And targeted to my location inside of the room. That is stalking with activity, and this is constructive presence. The government is present. Understand this is a threat. And then they engage in the behavioral pattern of increasing that conduct as you document it. This is all going to that federal prosecution of that entity that is engaged in hovering, stalking, that paranoid level of maintaining presence not only in your path and relevant position, group stalking with the people of the state of California, but maintaining presence everywhere that you are audibly and visibly. Stalking with light is the example of that, and stalking with activity, including when you are in a private space. And this is an excellent example. Understand that this squeaking is that which is intentionally and deliberately created with real-time knowledge of every word that I'm speaking right now, real-time knowledge of the documentation serving this entity's prosecution. This is going to not only the conduct, but the knowledge with which the entity has while they're engaging in the conduct. This is speaking to that level of sickness. This is speaking to the intensity of prosecution, all right? That is the behavioral pattern. I've shown that while the state listens to me document, it engages in the conduct even more. Sicko, okay? That's the P.O.C. And in addition to that, where the entity is monitoring, you're talking about anything serving that pattern of conduct is grounds for prosecution. So not only is there no excuse, you're talking about it is not coincidence. The state is engaged in, and the people of the state are the vicarious actors of the state. Everything in the environment that you hear, that you see, that's in your path is deliberately created for the purpose of systematic monitoring by the state. So this is the absence of coincidence. This is the constructive presence of that entity inside of your room, inside of a private space. The other significance is that understand where the state is creating audible activity inside of a private space where you're physically indisposed in the shower, okay, or using the bathroom, all right, where you're engaged in a personal activity. Otherwise, the state has become the hands that are touching all over your body while they are monitoring to you in that indisposed state. The state has become that presence with you while you have not invited them under those circumstances. Understand, that is a sex offender intentionally creating that activity to monitor you while they are aware you are in that indisposed state, engaged in that personal activity. All right. This is a sicko worthy of federal prosecution in this manner. This is that which is of sexual violation. This is not only the pattern of conduct, this is the behavioral pattern. What I want to speak to and what I am exposing is a people practicing a satanic targeting system that are right now, as I speak, hovering around, listening to everything that I'm saying, and continuing the criminal conduct. In no way whatsoever helping themselves. It is in no way demonstrating that it's coincidental or that it's accidental or just happenstance. There is no such thing where the public entity is monitoring, by the way. This is ongoing for, we're coming on 10 minutes now, and I want to be clear that this is the time that the state is engaging in, and this is speaking to what is deliberate as well. It's the absence of coincidence. Intentionally creating and continuing the activity as I document it. Whereas what the state does through this means, this is nothing but a method, like I stated, usually engages in starting this, and as I get in the shower and I'm washing and touching, or if I make a sudden move, or if I make a new move, this is the use of the activity that's created in the shower. As I am now recording it, which the psycho sex offending group stalkers are listening to right now, now what you are witnessing, which is excellent for documenting, the intentionality, the malice, and the demented, perverted conduct that the state is systematically, routinely engaged in while it is aware in real time that I am documenting it. This is why you have what is in excess of almost 10 minutes now of ongoing squeaking. And understand that this is nothing but an opportunity for the state that is stalking with the fake sun, the state that amplifies any manner of noise, the state that is engaged in creating noise through the ceiling and through the walls is creating this activity in the shower. Okay? It's P.O.C. And this is 2301 South Euclid Avenue, and it's 6:39 a.m. This is called this is relevant to corporate evasion of privacy by entity. This is relevant to monitoring in a private space where the government becomes those hands touching your body, becomes present with you, constructively present while you're controlling inanimate objects, creating activity under those circumstances, which you remain aware of. That's the entity touching all over you, all right? This is another means of sexual violence. They are all around in relevant position, monitoring under these circumstances, all right? And I am speaking to what is, as a matter of justice, a most intense federal prosecution for such perverted and demented group conduct, because that's exactly what it is. This is speaking to an intention to continue that conduct that they are listening to you document, to prosecute as you enforce your rights. All right? That is no coincidence. That's not happenstance. This is routine pattern of conduct. Understand, every room that I've been at Economy Inn, that was 230 and 227, includes this squeaking shower. This is not the only venue where that occurs as well. This is a means, this is nothing but a method of creating noise where I am at, which is in the bathroom. And that is going to go toward what is corporate invasion of privacy, monitoring in a private space, all right? That is the government touching all over your body while it's creating noise and monitoring you. Constructively present, acting with the people of the state that are surrounding and stalking. The state is flying over in planes and helicopters and creating noise while you're in that state, engaged in that personal, private activity monitoring. You have effectively become one that is violating the person while you are monitoring in that space, which also you're going to go into. That is not only that demonic, demented conduct. It's monitoring with communication devices. That's the criminal purpose. It's satanic, all right? That's relevant for the context. But it is also that which defies, this is what you're speaking to, which is of psychopath conduct of the group. Where are you going to pull out a communication device in the first place? Like they're doing this while you're in the bathroom, while you're wiping yourself, while you're in the shower, cleaning your body. That's how demented and perverted the entity is. And this is not even that which is reasonably to result in any sort of monitoring. For what are you monitoring for? You know that whether I have a phone or not. You know whether I am using a phone in the shower. You're listening to everything. And understand, corporate invasion of privacy is in no way a limitation of the means by which the entity is monitoring inside of any location, let alone a private space. I'm not in any way limiting it. I'm speaking to what is documented and necessarily invasion of privacy and corporately because the people of the state and the public entity itself that is facilitating this criminal monitoring system are necessarily engaged in real-time knowledge of what you are doing at all times in order to engage in the behavioral pattern and the pattern of conduct, which is stalking with activity, stalking with light, and stalking with their presence. And that is what they do, and this is on a ceaseless basis. I want to be clear, it is 6:42 a.m. right now. 6:42 a.m. on March 13, 2021. This is legal analysis for what is going toward the public entity's pattern of conduct of monitoring on a ceaseless basis, which includes inside of a private space, while the psychopaths on the 60 freeway, understand that, the psychopaths driving up and down Euclid Avenue, the psychopaths that are surrounding the property over the brick wall at the mobile gas station, on the grounds of the property economy inn, surrounding in relevant position, and the psychopaths in their police vehicles, fire trucks, ambulance vehicles that are in the planes and helicopters. They are all as a group surrounding, listening to me speak and prosecute them and analyze their criminal conduct and the ways in which federal prosecution shall be distributed. They are monitoring to that activity while you are nude, while you are using the toilet, while you're wiping and using your genitalia is exposed. I want to get to the explicit act that they're engaged in, because you need to understand how perverted and twisted it is, and it is not one person. You're talking about a group. This is an unprecedented level of a violation of a sexual nature. And it is that which does not reasonably result in what their criminal purpose is, which is monitoring. And this is the behavioral pattern, okay? Using the quote-unquote squeaky shower, this is not the only venue where this is occurring. And this is why I started documenting what is a pattern of conduct, because they literally engage in a pattern of keeping noise around me everywhere that I go. That's P.O.C. at 6:43 a.m.